They continue to dominate, still a team to beat a year away from the Olympics in Barcelona. A pleasant surprise in some of the lesser nations. They've improved in some cases dramatically. And the real disappointment has been the United States team. Another disappointing loss last night. It's not just the fact that these American boxers are losing, 6 of them already, half the team, but the way they're losing. They look listless and flat and intimidated. And one of the boxers on this team is going to have to forget all the convenient excuses here in Cuba and give a career performance for the United States to avoid a shutout in the race for a gold medal.
Tonight's bout, 2 little guys with big punches.
That's right. Regilio Marcelo of Cuba at 26, one of the veterans on this Cuban team. He is the second best 106-pounder in the world. He's the favorite to win here at the Pan American Games because the best 106-pounder, Eric Griffin of the United States, is not here. Eric Griffin chose not to fight Marcelo. He has already beaten Regilio Marcelo 3 times. Eric chose instead to go to the World Championships in Sydney, Australia in November. There is Regilio Marcelo, silver medalist, to Eric Griffin at the World Championships. And Regilio has dedicated himself totally to ending that losing streak to Eric Griffin at those World Championships, and he wants to make a convincing performance here to give Eric Griffin, who I'm sure is at home watching, something to think about as they prepare for those World Championships. The Cuban boxer got off to a sensational start in this tournament with a one-punch first-round knockout there against the American Bradley Martinez. That short chopping, clipping, really, left hand inside, knocked out Bradley Martinez and established Regilio Marcelo as the man to beat here in Havana. He's not going to have it all his own way, I don't think, tonight, because his opponent is a young man named Nelson Dieppa. He is the Puerto Rican national champion, and Nelson demonstrated in his opening bout that he can provide some fireworks of his own, as he continually drilled his opponents with a series of left hooks like that one you see right there, causing several standing 8 counts, and eventually a stoppage in the 2nd round. So, 2 of the smallest men in the tournament, but 2 with unusual power for light flyweights.
And here's a look at some of the rules of amateur boxing. Computerized scoring done by 5 judges, standing 8 and mandatory 8s in effect. 3 8 counts in a round or 4 in a bout will cause a stoppage. 3 cautions for the same violation will cause a warning and a 3-point deduction. 3 warnings for the same violation will cause a disqualification. And the referee for today's bout, the 3rd man in the ring, is Antonio Bernald of Brazil.
The introduction is being made there. You see this crowd, you might be distracted or think there's not much interest in this boxing competition because of all those empty seats right behind our main cameras. But as you see in the upper deck and all around this Kid Chocolate Hall, this is a standing room only crowd. There's some of the crowd, and you see a lot of the flags.
And Alex, they have been lining up since about 12 noon for some of these seats.
Yeah, and those empty seats are held for dignitaries who may or may not show up for the competition.
The start of the 1st round, Nelson Dieppa of Puerto Rico in the red shirt. Rogelio Marcelo of Cuba is in the blue.
Marcelo, like Lou, you saw there the movement of Dieppa in the red, the Puerto Rican boxer, youngster. He is not letting his hands go, and you can understand that against Marcelo the way he did against his Peruvian 1st round opponent. But this is a talented young man, Dieppa.
Marcelo the southpaw.
The one thing that Nelson Dieppa has to watch is, as you saw there, he has a tendency to disregard his defense and concentrate too much on offense. And if he jumps in trying to wing left hooks or right hands, Regilio Marcelo is the kind of short counterpuncher who will make him pay for it. Again, he kind of charges in.
He's hammering away on the ropes now, the Puerto Rican fighter.
Works the body well. Nelson Dieppa in red, a big underdog, scores a good right hand on the inside and keeps Marcelo on the ropes.
Pinning him on the ropes with his forearms.
Stop!
Dieppa busy inside. The referee steps in, separates the boxers.
And cautions Dieppa for pushing Marcelo up against the ropes. Regilio Marcelo of Cuba on the right in the blue. Another caution for the Puerto Rican to keep his head up.
Remember, 3 cautions for the same violation result in a 3-point deduction. Both fighters winging punches.
Bradley Martinez of the United States came in against Marcelo and completely froze. And you can see in the first half round of the beginning of this fight that Nelson Dieppa of Puerto Rico is not frozen. He's a little bit intimidated in that he's being a little bit more careful, not letting his hands go as fluidly as he did in his first bout. But he is throwing punches. And he is moving.
Stop!
The referee steps in, issues a caution to the Puerto Rican for keeping his head too low. The Puerto Rican boxers are 7-3 in the tournament so far, and the lone Cuban loss was at the hands of a Puerto Rican boxer.
You saw Marcelo drill the left hand. Regilio really measures with that right. He looks to load up with that left.
Marcelo digging right hands and left hands to the ribs. Marcelo being muscled and manhandled on the ropes.
By Dieppa, and Marcelo retaliates.
Alex, do you see a pattern developing here with the Puerto Rican fighter trapping his guy in the ropes as the roles are reversed now?
Yeah, and Dieppa, you see him fight back bravely.
Marcelo loading up with lefts as the crowd comes alive.
Stop! Break! Pause!
Those are the only 3 words that you'll hear the officials say in amateur boxing. A good first round of action.
Oh, and a good left that time by Marcelo.
Great first round.
Terrific action. And based upon the way Nelson Dieppa performed in his opening bout, it's something to be expected. There you see Alcides Segura on the left, leaning through the ropes. That's pretty calm for Alcides Segura. We'll get you a translation in a moment. Here's some of the action from round 1. Marcelo of Cuba driving Dieppa back in the ropes with the left hand. And some action later. Watch the left again by, right on the button as Marcelo jumps in with the left hand. Ordinarily, you'd think that that left hand might have, in the old scoring, might have swayed the judges and given Marcelo the round. With this new electronic scoring, those kind of late round rallies should not sway the judges. The punches should simply be counted when they occur.
That's Dieppa in the red. Rogelio Marcelo from Guantanamo, Cuba is in the blue. Round 2 action. Marcelo moving forward.
Alcides Segura in the Cuban corner told Marcelo, stay in the middle of the ring. Don't let him put you in the corner. You take the initiative. You force him into corners.
Marcelo backing up his opponent now.
Dieppa has learned respect. He is not charging in. He's now waiting for Marcelo to lead.
Stop!
Dieppa showing his lack of experience and not stepping back. And Marcelo again jumping in with his left.
Dieppa moving in, but he can't trap Marcelo so far in the second round. Hasn't been able to get him on the ropes.
Marcelo of Cuba on the left, big favorite, found the range first in this bout.
Alex, are you surprised that we haven't seen more left hooks from the Puerto Rican boxer?
Well, one of the reasons we have not is the fact that Dieppa is now as much concerned with defending against those left hands by Marcelo as he is about getting off his own punches. His offense has been disrupted by Marcelo's punches, and he just has to start thinking about making Marcelo miss. Oh, good inside. Marcelo just eating up Dieppa on the inside.
Marcelo with a flurry of punches, a few that land. Referee issuing a caution to the Puerto Rican boxer.
And it's Dieppa that hangs on, forces the clinch, and gets a caution. Again, Marcelo loads up the left and drills it. And again, Dieppa's holding on, trying to stop this torrent of punches that he's getting hit with. He's just confused right now.
Marcelo digging shots to the body.
Ordinarily, Nelson Dieppa of Puerto Rico would try to fight his way out of those exchanges, but he tried that the first round. It didn't work.
Oh, and Marcelo landed a left.
There you see Nelson loading up some punches of his own. But again, you see him grabbing. And Marcelo, the veteran, working the body.
Oh, good flurry by the Cuban boxer. And Dieppa comes back.
And Marcelo retaliates in kind.
Non-stop action here in the second round. Marcelo with the left hand. Marcelo missing a left-right and hanging on.
That's a trip. That's a trip. Oh, he's going. It's a knockdown.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Time has run out.
We are live and back for round 3 of this 106-pound light flyweight semifinal between Rogelio Marcelo of Guantanamo, Cuba in the blue, and Nelson Dieppa of Puerto Rico in the red. This has been an exciting bout, Alex. How do you see it so far?
Well, Marcelo won both rounds. The second on our card, the second more convincing than the first. I think the crucial factor here is just Marcelo's superior experience. I don't think Dieppa's intimidated by this crowd cheering Marcelo on. I think it's just Marcelo's experience and that really has given him a big edge.
Both fighters on the outside getting a little more distance in between them now.
And that's not Nelson Dieppa's best fight on the outside. He's a guy who likes to get on the inside and let go with both hands, but he's much more comfortable on the outside because on the inside he's getting eaten alive.
Now, there was a standing 8-count issue to the Puerto Rican boxer near the end of the second round. That is the only standing 8 of the bout so far.
And it was not a hurting blow. It looked to me like their feet got tangled up a little bit. There was a punch on the inside. We should point out that that standing 8-count, the punch that caused it, does not count anymore because it caused a knockdown in amateur boxing. Dieppa able to force Marcelo back a little bit more in this round. Oh, good left there on the inside by Dieppa in the red, the Puerto Rican youngster.
Dieppa rings another left off Marcelo's ear. Moving forward, loading up with the right, just missing. Now they resort back to infighting. Marcelo lands a couple of punches and slips away nicely off the ropes. Rogelio Marcelo bouncing on his toes.
Wild right by Nelson Dieppa. He's gone away from the short punches that he showed us in the preliminary round. But, of course, in the preliminary round, he didn't have Regilio Marcelo of Cuba facing him. But you can see that this Puerto Rican youngster has some talent. He's got ability. And if he learns from this match and comes and uses it for him, you know, he's somebody who's going to be seen maybe next year in Barcelona, maybe this year in the World Championships. He's a tough little fighter.
Throws another right that lands on the top of Marcelo's head.
That's a right hand he can get away with against lesser boxers, but not against world-class ones like Marcelo.
The heads of the two boxers dangerously close. Fighting at close range.
It used to be in the Pan Am Games that bouts like this against Puerto Ricans and Brazilians and Venezuelans were just tune-ups, really, just marking time until the Cubans met the American boxers. But as you can see, the lesser nations have come on.
Winding down to the end of the fight, and it was a good one.
Good little action fight.
Marcelo tapped his opponent on the head, said, take that one with you.
I guess it's when the two boxers, one weighs 103-something and 104-something, you have to call it a good little fight. Marcelo having his headgear removed by Alcides Segura.
Now for the decision.
Por punto, en la esquina azul de Cuba, Rogelio Marcelo.
Rogelio Marcelo wins by a margin of 21-7, surprisingly large. We'll have more exciting boxing from Sala Kid Chocolate later in the program.
Patrice Brooks only won. Whether that means Patrice is fresher or Billy is sharper is very tough to predict how athletes will react. I think we'll know soon enough as the bout goes on.
Alex, you mentioned fresher. Patrice Brooks suffered from a case of diarrhea. He was a little sluggish before his last bout. And
4 days of diarrhea, and he was very sick. He won that bout. He did not look good. He looked very sluggish, as you would expect. But Coach Kenny Lord says he's back smiling. He's physically okay, and Kenny Lord thinks he's ready to give a better performance, much better performance. He'll have to, because Billy Irwin's a tough little kid.
Brooks, a student of St. Louis Community College, a business major, says he wants to turn pro and make some cash. The start of the first round.
You see Patrice Brooks of the United States on the left in the red top, red headgear, southpaw. Billy Irwin goes according to form. He'll stay very well tucked in, very safety first. You see there, not giving Patrice Brooks anything to shoot at. Patrice very smartly there took the body because Billy covers his head well.
Brooks missing with a right hand. Doubling up on it, throws it again. It was blocked by Irwin. United States fighters having a tough time so far. They have lost 6 boxers already in the competition.
Patrice Brooks getting off first. Billy Irwin not doing much. That's Billy Irwin's style. That's his MO. He especially in the first round, does very, very little, stays all tucked in, and then late in the round, maybe the final minute, maybe final 30 seconds, he will start to flurry. Bing, 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 get out. Bing, 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 try to steal the round.
Brooks connecting with the right jab. Irwin not throwing many punches so far. Brooks landing with the left.
With the new electronic scoring, you wonder if this kind of tactic by Billy Irwin of Canada in the blue top, blue headgear is an outdated tactic, trying to steal around, as we talked about earlier tonight, trying to steal around with a late flurry. There are 2 good scoring punches by Patrice Brooks. A very even fight coming in. Billy Irwin on the right of your screen has a win over Patrice Brooks of the United States on the left, but that came in Billy Irwin's home country of Canada in the Canada Cup in June. And it was a close split decision.
Irwin falling short on his punches, missing with a right to the body.
As we talked about, if form holds true now in the final minute, Billy Irwin will try to open up a little bit. So far, Patrice Brooks, doing a good job of keeping Irwin at distance. Don't be fooled by those red mouthpieces that the American team has. Patrice Brooks is not cut in the mouth.
Brooks throwing right-left combinations, but falling short right there. Billy Irwin boxes out of the Shamrock Boxing Club, where his coach is Pat Kelly. From Niagara Falls, Ontario, in the blue top.
We said both men like to control pace. This is overdoing it a little bit. But you saw there, good right hand by Patrice Brooks. And Patrice Brooks has gotten off first. He's taken the initiative more often, and on our scorecards, has taken over and won this first round.
Time winding down on the first round. Caution, the word for Irwin.
Nope.
You're looking at Billy Irwin from Niagara Falls, Ontario. He represents Canada against Patrice Brooks with his back to us in the red top. Alex, how did you see the first round?
Well, I thought Patrice outscored him, punched him in terms of scoring blows, 9-3. That has no relevance to what the official score is, we should quickly say. But again, Patrice Brooks getting off first, and Billy Irwin not responding yet. And he's going to have to start.
Referee stepping in, breaking the fighters. Canadian coach Taylor Gordon telling Irwin, you got to get off, you got to get busier. You're standing there making the guy look good.
And he's right. but I think that might be a USA chant from the Cuban crowd, and that would be unprecedented.
Actually,
I think it's some American teammates. Patrice Brooks starting. Yeah, they're standing up and chanting, and I don't think there's too much agreement from the Cuban crowd.
I think they're the only ones chanting USA. Patrice Brooks falling short with the left hand and another left. Alex, are you surprised that Billy Irwin has mounted little, if any, offense so far?
Well, as we said at the top, that's his style. What I am surprised about is that he has not done the second half of what his style is, and that's flurry at some points, to pick his spots, go in, throw 6 or 7 punches, and jump out. And that's partially because Patrice Brooks has done a good job. You saw Irwin's disgust in his face there. Look at the referee, and the referee cautioned Patrice Brooks, the American southpaw with his back to you in the red top and red headgear, for holding. And that's what Patrice wanted to do. As soon as Billy Irwin got inside, penetrated Patrice's jab and long arms, Patrice grabbed. And Patrice grabbed again. That time he was not significantly cautioned for grabbing. He was cautioned for keeping his head up enough.
Brooks still pumping that right jab.
And Billy Irwin pumping nothing but air.
Patrice Brooks, you know, Coach Kenny Lord has moved the members of his team out of the athletes' village. And what he has done
over to the American corner for coaching from the corner.
USA!
There are members of the USA boxing team.
USA!
Look at Shannon Briggs, the heavyweight.
Out of Brooklyn, New York. Shannon Briggs, the recipient of the best draw in the entire tournament. There were only 3 heavyweights in this competition, and Shannon Briggs got a bye into the finals. Without having a fight, he is guaranteed a silver medal. Caution again by the referee to Patrice Brooks for holding behind the head.
I want to remind you that in the amateur rules, 3 cautions lead to a warning and a 3-point deduction.
And that is a that is the second caution for that infraction from the referee. 1 more and that 3-point deduction will take place.
3 warnings result in the disqualification of that fighter. 3 warnings for the same violation.
Billy Irwin just has found no way to get inside. I did not see their meeting in June in the Canada Cup, but one wonders what Billy Irwin did to win that bout. He just hasn't found any kind of a way to penetrate the defense of Patrice Brooks.
Brooks in control as we wind down on round 2.
Patrice Brooks from the United States with his back to you. There, a terrific stiff right jab, and that's a big part of the reason that Billy Irwin has not been able to get inside and do any kind of scoring.
Back for the 3rd and final round of this lightweight semifinal. Patrice Brooks apparently comfortably ahead in the red. Billy Irwin of Canada in the blue.
Well, don't say comfortably ahead. It has been a match with not a lot of very obvious scoring blows. We had a replay of a good right there by Patrice Brooks. But with this electronic scoring, 3 out of the 5 judges has to push the button, the little handset they have with them. Red button for the red corner, or Patrice Brooks in this case, blue for Billy Irwin of Canada. 3 out of the 5 at least have to push the button within 1 second for that scoring blow to count. And we have seen some very strange counting of the blows in this competition. Good right that time. There was the most obvious blow of the whole bout by Billy Irwin.
And Irwin trying to manhandle Brooks now. Swings him around into the ropes and receives a caution from the referee in air.
In fact, in Billy Irwin's previous... Oh, good there. Now, there was an obvious scoring blow by Patrice Brooks.
Straighten him right up.
In Billy Irwin's previous bout a couple of nights ago, we were watching the computer score as it went by, and we could not believe how few obvious scoring blows were being counted by a majority of the judges.
Patrice Brooks still busy, still throwing punches. Billy Irwin still with his hands high, but not throwing many. Brooks letting loose with the left. 2 fighters clinching along the ropes now.
Another caution to Billy Irwin, the Canadian, on the left of your screen for not keeping his head up high enough.
Now it's fair to say that Brooks has made that 4-inch height advantage pay off for him.
Excuse me 1 second, Mark. You saw Patrice Brooks do something very smart there. He jumped in and clinched And you could see his mind work in that clinch. He said, whoops, I've already been cautioned. I cannot do this. I might lose 3 points on this. And he let Billy Irwin go.
Brooks still pumping the right jab.
Inside the final minute of the bout. And let us repeat, this is one of those bouts with not a lot of obvious scoring punches to the head. Apparently, these judges under this electronic scoring system do not have unanimity on combination punching. They can't react quick enough. They don't have a lot of unanimity on body punching. So it's obvious punches to the head that they're scoring, and there just have not been a lot of them in this bout. If you talk about ring generalship, it seems obvious, which is one of the old criteria, it seems obvious that Patrice Brooks has really dictated the pace in this bout. He's kept Billy Irwin at distance with his longer arms. And on our scorecard, he's won it.
Good counter punching there by Brooks. He gets cautioned by the referee for holding behind the head.
Again, a caution by the referee to Patrice Brooks for his head going down.
And that's the end of this one.
Patrice Brooks throws up his hands. The American team throw up their hands.
The winner of this lightweight semifinal moves on to the finals on Sunday.
You saw
Billy Irwin shaking his head and in disgust.
He shook his head because he was looking over at a teammate of his who was sitting behind us, who is in a position to see the computer, who told him that the man on the left, Patrice Brooks, had won the bout. And Billy Irwin knew in his own heart that he hadn't done enough, whatever the electronic scoring said. That's a big win for the United States. Patrice Brooks gets into the finals. He reverses a bad trend, and he avenges a defeat at the hands of Billy Irwin a couple of months ago.
And the Americans mounting a little momentum.